there! Welcome to my channel. Today we're recapping Accused Season 1, Episode 1. Let's dive in. Dr. Scott, a respected doctor, receives an urgent call from his wife, Lynn, asking him to come to their son Devon's school. The principal informs them that Devon threatened another student's life after posting a disturbing comment on a female student, Sabrina's page. Concerned, the school notes that this isn't the first incident and asks if the parents have noticed any unusual behavior. Lynn, feeling offended by the implication, pulls Devon out of school instead of addressing the issue. On the way home, Scott reprimands Devon, but his son shows no remorse. Troubled, Scott reviews old videos and notices consistent patterns of odd behavior in Devon. He confronts Lynn, explaining that Devon shows no empathy and that switching schools isn't the solution. Scott reveals that Devon has been resistant to therapy and believes his behavior has been an issue for a long time. Lynn, however, defends Devon, leading to an argument between them. Later, we see Dr. Scott in court for his preliminary criminal hearing. Dr. Becker, a colleague, is called as a witness and is asked if Dr. Scott ever discussed the possibility of his son's death with him. Back in the present, Dr. Scott is video calling his other son when he notices their neighbor searching for her missing dog. Suspicious, he goes into Devon's room and overhears him talking about money while playing a video game. When Scott asks what the money is for, Devon claims it's for an investment. Scott then asks if Devon killed the neighbor's dog, which Devon denies. Searching the room, Scott finds a journal containing a detailed plan to murder Sabrina. Lynn enters, and Scott shows her the journal. Shocked, she apologizes to Scott for not believing him earlier. At work, Dr. Scott confides in Dr. Becker about the situation, revealing that Devon is preparing to do something terrible. Dr. Becker suggests calling the police, but Scott points out that they can't arrest someone for a crime they haven't yet committed. In court, Dr. Becker is asked if Dr. Scott ever spoke about possibly killing his son to prevent him from harming others. Desperate, Dr. Scott takes Devon on a solo bonding trip to a remote gorge. While there, Scott contemplates pushing his son off a cliff, but ultimately cannot go through with it. Devon reveals that he knows Scott read his journal and admits he's angry, but doesn't want to feel this way anymore. Relieved, Scott believes there's hope for his son. Devon then manipulates Scott into giving him money for a trip with friends, promising to see a psychiatrist when he returns. When they get home, Lynn tells Scott that the neighbor found her dog, clearing Devon of suspicion. Scott, feeling hopeful, tells Lynn that Devon has agreed to get help, and they both feel optimistic. Shortly after, Devon's friend is called to testify in court. Meanwhile, Scott tells Dr. Becker that things are looking better and shares that he gave Devon a check for his trip, believing his son is making an effort to improve. However, news breaks of a shooting at Devon's former school. Scott rushes to the scene and learns that Devon is the shooter. Devon asks to speak to his father, and the horrifying truth emerges. Devon had realized Scott planned to kill him during their trip and used the opportunity to manipulate him. The money Scott gave Devon was used to fund his deadly plan.
Couldn't have done it without you.
In court, Devon's friend testifies that if Scott hadn't provided the money, the shooting wouldn't have happened. The prosecution argues that Scott knew what his son was capable of and is complicit in the crime. However, in court, Dr. Scott is found negligent but not criminally liable, as he didn't intend for the attack to happen. The episode ends with Lynn, his wife, asking if Scott took Devon on a trip to kill him, and heartbreakingly admitting she wishes he had. 7 students would still be alive. What do you think? Should Dr. Scott have gone to jail? Let me know in the comments.